Greetings expeditioners, FiOth here, and in this video I will be breaking down my harvester build for Sciel. My previous vid for versus hyper mode huge damage build kinda did okay for a channel that doesn't really double in turn-based, but I'm here once again to give you a build that is not hyper mode and will both act as a utility asset and a damaging asset in your team. This is a very versatile approach that can dish out the hurt, but will also allow you to dictate turns and optimize the DPS and overall damage output of your allies. I have to be absolutely clear here. There is no build in this game, the way it's set up, that will ever out-damage an hyper mode build. Hyper mode meaning you're 1 HP, you load up all the Luminas that help with low health damage output and just go ham on the enemy and deal shitloads of damage. Like, you can reach billions of damage with that approach if you set everything up. And because those builds are a dime a dozen right now, and I don't think they bring value to people who actually don't want to break the game, I will be bringing you a build that acts normally according to the logical parameters someone would expect from a game like this. So without further ado, let's get to it. So you can see my girl Sciel here sporting her best baguette, and we start with a weapon which is the Corderon. It states, Care self on battle start, deal 50% more damage while cursed. Reset curse duration when entering Twilight State, play again when entering Twilight State. Now we have to clear two things up here. You have to understand how to enter Twilight stance. This is the most important aspect of anything you wanna do with Sciel. Once in Twilight, she gets immense damage boost that can be optimized even further by getting more cards active in between turns. That is, you have to apply a Sun card and then you have to apply a Moon card. The combination of the two will yield another charge added to your Twilight that will increase its damage. The third perk, play again when entering Twilight State, is a bit hit or miss when it comes to the combination we're dealing with here, because there is no way in this game to play more than twice in a row unless there is a huge speed differentiation between you and the enemy. So shortcut, cheater, the perk you see right here, you can only go so far by activating perks to play again one after another. There is a limit reaching 2 turns played back to back unless very specific statistical criteria are met. So playing again when entering Twilight State, it's something that we will not necessarily be leveraging, but we will surely be leveraging the deal 50% more damage while cursed. So we're keeping this. This is a staple of the build. Don't be scared of curse, because it will not be an issue when you deal so much damage and can dictate so much of what's going on in the battlefield. You will never reach the timer that will kill you, and on top of everything else, just entering Twilight will take you up to 5 turns, which is ridiculous. Like, 5 turns with this kind of build, nothing will be alive to cause any trouble. Now for the Pictos, what we need here is a combination of what would be useful in this case, like Energy Master, every AP gain is increased by 1, is super useful. So because Pictos ultimately are here just to give you the stats they provide, or you can just equip them as Luminas, we want to pick stuff that gives us crit rate and speed. We want our crit rate to reach that 100% or get as close as possible, like 97 as you see here, and speed around 2400. It's the sweet spot for 95% of the content if you want to safely navigate battles with bosses that go beyond that and will play first. There is always the first strike Lumina that you can utilize on everyone, and you will always play first. So let's check the Luminas whilst we're here. My capacity right here is humongous because I have been testing stuff by the end of new game, going into Renoir's drafts, killing the enemies there, and I got a lot of colors of Lumina, so I can pretty much socket whatever I want here. But for your ease of mind, I'm gonna let you know what is actually useful, what is a must here, in order to make this as useful as possible. So you want augmented aim, so you will be able to fight flyers. Without this, you will not be able to hit flyers at all, even with abilities. Augmented first strike. You want auto shell in case you want to use powerful on Shell and then go with greater powerful. So you'll start with Shell, which we don't need because they will not hit us, but that will trigger powerful, and greater powerful will kick in as well. If you don't have the huge capacity required for these 3 Lumina, ignore, and there are other ways to apply powerful. Base shield 100%. Breaker is so-so. Seal is not the best breaker in the game. That's probably Verso. So this will come in handy when you have capacity, not super useful or required at the start. Breaking Berg is not something you need in the beginning. It will come into play later. Cheetah 100%. This is a must for double play. Confident Fighter 100%. Then we go with Energizing Start 2, Energizing Turn, and Energizing Master. These you want all of. If you can, take other stuff out and put this in, excluding stuff that increases our damage. Do that because having as much AP as possible is paramount. First offensive 100%, we want that. First strike, when you're dealing with pesky bosses that tend to cheat, you get first strike and you always play first. Full strength is great because Ciel doesn't really depend on abilities that will make her deal more damage when she's on 1 HP. As I said, this is a non-hyper mode build, so you go full strength, you start with full strength, they will never hit you if you use your build properly, and you will remain at full strength, giving you 25% free damage. Immaculate is super good if you are going to perform well or finish the fight in one go. So 30% free damage, and media stress 100%. This is awesome, and this is awesome because of powerful shield. 10% increased damage per shield point on self, so that's 30% out of the box. One thing I'd like you to note about media stress is that when you enter a fight at full HP, it will halve your health, but that half health will still show as an 100% health bar. Every subsequent fight you will be at 50% HP and in full strength will go away. So if you want to leverage this, you either use a potion in between to go on 100% health, or you visit a flag and reset if you're grinding or something like that. And media stress will render full strength useless every fight after the first fight unless you heal to 100%. You have been warned. Inverted Affinity is literally 50% free damage, no question about it. You will not be healing a New Game Plus, especially if you're playing on Expert. There is nothing that can survive the hits some of the bosses deal later in New Game Plus. You want to get them out of the way fast and efficiently. Screw healing, go for damage, go on the offensive. Painted power you need, of course, because nothing works without it. We already spoke about powerful shield. Rewarding mark can be good because there is a lot of abilities that will mark stuff, including Ciel's own marking card, so this is a good one. Shield Affinity is amazing, 30% increased damage while having shields, but receiving any damage always removes all shields. They'll never hit us and we'll never lose shields. Sniper is good for flyers again. The first free aim shot will deal 200% damage and can break. Solidifying is interesting according to how you want to approach it. Not a must if, as I said, you're efficient and will finish the fight in one go. Pretty good for prolonged fights if you're not able to finish the fight in one go. If you're not using hyper mode builds, this will actually help you. Tainted is great because it gives us 15% damage for cursed and 15% damage for inverted. That's 30%. Teamwork, of course, for the 10% damage increase when you have a team. And warming up is good for subsequent turns. Please remember that your character's icon moving down one slot in the queue means a turn has passed. A turn is not dictated by everyone playing, just one character moving down in the queue. So you will at least get 10% on your second attack at the start of the fight. Now our skills are our sacrifice. This is a moon skill. It will draw the HP of your allies and deal a shitload of dark damage to everyone. This is amazing because not only does it deal good damage itself, it sets characters like Verso and Mael up for their hyper mode builds, triggering all their SOS Luminas in the process, so it's fantastic. Marking card is of course great because it marks, it's awesome, applies 3 foretel, very cheap at 3 AP. Spectral Sweep is great because it hits for 6 hits if you don't mess up your input, applies 1 Fortel per hit, and because we're always triggering criticals, we have 97% chance of crit after all, we're applying 12 Fortel with this one ability that costs only 7 AP. Twilight Dance is a great damage dealer if you are a couple of rounds into Twilight, you can spare the 9 AP, you have already marked the enemy, they're swimming in Fortel. If you apply everything I just described and trigger this, even without any active buffs, you will be looking at around 3.5 million damage in one application, and this is great for a non-hyper mode build. Final Path is great if you need to break or just apply Fortel. This will place 20 Fortel on the enemy if you're in Twilight. 20 is the peak, it's the max. You do this once and you've picked the amount of ready to get hurt really bad cards on the enemy. And Fortune's Fury is pretty much Sciel's most powerful ability when it comes to team play. Double the damage of any ally for 1 turn, not just the first hit. If you mark someone, apply Defenseless on them and then use Greater Powerful and Fortune's Fury. It's the most damage you can get in this game, Luminas notwithstanding. So Stenthal with Miel, with all these things applied, the damage can get pretty wacky, but we'll talk about it in a Miel vid later on.
So the rotation here is twofold. If you are playing solo, start with Darkwave. This is your Moon ability. It will give you 1 Moon Fortel, and then use Marking Card or any other Sun ability to bring Sciel into Twilight. Once Sciel is into Twilight, she will refresh her time to die from curse to 5 turns, as I mentioned earlier. Of course, the target will be marked, and if you're playing alone, any attack or counter attack followed by this 2-turn sequence will deal a shitload of damage. As you can see here, it was 2 million of damage just because I countered this Virgin. Then you will of course have a shitload of AP and you can finish any fight in 1 hit. If you're playing with hyper mode characters, start with our sacrifice to get them into hyper mode and then mark them with a card to prep them for destruction by any one of them. Of course, Fortune's Fury on them will make that job that much easier. No target will be able to withstand this kind of damage. Trust me, I've tried up New Game Plus Expert and everything dies to this sequence. So this is it, Expeditioners, my Harvester build for Sciel, turning a character that many people deem not worthy enough to invest in her damage into a powerhouse that can both manipulate the battlefield with her abilities and dish out the hurt if the circumstance demands it. I will continue build crafting and testing stuff as I reach the end game of New Game Plus on Expert and will report my findings. If you found this content useful and informative, subscribe, like and hit the notification bell, and until next time, be well, stay frosty and always strive for perfection. Cheers!